My void will consume you, if you ask nicely.
Your will is no longer your own.
Stay away from the voodoo. Toi!
You have led the Horde to a place without honor.
Your petty quarrels only make me stronger.
Our world needs us, champion.
You got it over your head.
We cannot let the world fall to darkness.
Already lost.
Put your faith in the light, and all is possible.
Is it truly righteousness that drives you? I wonder.
It would seem you have guessed.
They are coming for you. This is the Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to Whispers of War, show number 67. I'm your host Sil, and let's jump into World of Warcraft. No classic this week, we're still on the stint of just BFA at the moment. So what's been happening in BFA? A lot. I can't remember if I said last week that I boosted a rogue, so this is what happened. I think I was talking about maybe I should buy the digital version already, and then, you know, it will just get converted to a Battle.net currency, which I use anyway for, my subscription. So it's not as if the money would be gone. And I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to get it. So I bought the most expensive version out there because I'm a consumer whore. And yeah, it's been quite cool. I love the big sperm mount and the sperm pet. And I had some issues trying to find your transmogged outfit, or the quest for that, until I YouTubed that and someone showed me where to find it. It's basically on the back of your mount. Who knew? So you click that, you get a quest guy, and you start grinding for these things. Now, I didn't go out to grind. I just thought, you know what? With anything that I do, world quests or anything out there, I will get those essences anyway. And you need 40, and I think I'm on like 20 now, and that's only from a few days of just questing now and again. I'll have it in a few weeks, I'm sure. So with that came a boost, and I've been umming and ahhing what I want to play in a bit like Taliaphix, and I wasn't quite sure which class to go for. I mean, I really like my druid, but she is in another guild, and I was just like, well, what do I do? What do I really enjoy? And that really is rogue. So I thought, okay, well, I love my blood elf rogue, so I'm just going to create a void elf rogue. Did that, and I am having a blast on her. I still play sub because I think subtlety is for me the most fun class, or spec for the rogue class. I tried outlaw for a bit, but I just couldn't get on with it at all. Maybe I should try assassination in the next patch, or maybe in the next expansion, but at the moment I'm still with sub. I do need to redo her buttons because I'm playing it very much like my horde rogue, and I don't think it's the same button configuration. I noticed that I'm doing some things like, why is this not, oh, different button, okay. So that is that. My guildies have been so kind to carry my ass through some mythics, which was a lot of fun. I die a lot because, I don't know, rogues are suicidal, and I just stand into shit too much. But it's fun. It's fun to actually see those dungeons now on mythic level, and the group is a lot of fun. So if, you know, shameless plug, but if you want a nice guild on the Alliance side, and you don't mind being on an RP server, then come and join us on Argent Dawn, a bit like Taliaphix. It's really, really a lovely guild, and people are really, really nice. So yeah. Other than that, so boosting the rogue, I thought, you know what else is there to do at the moment? Except for grinding gear, because that's what I'm really doing on her. I'm trying to get as much gear. I needed to finish my reputation with Mechagon. So because we went into Mechagon with my druid, I managed to finish that quest line. So we killed the king, and that was a very intense dungeon, I have to say, or super dungeon. It was interesting, a lot of fun. That no doubt. It's a lot of fun, but wow, it was intense. And so I finished that quest line, so I just needed the rep. And I was on 25% into Revered when I started, and in a few days with the buff and with a contract, and if you get the Dark Moon Fair buff as well, it actually goes really quick. And I think it took me less than a week to get this, and I managed to get Exalted now, so very happy with that. So it means that as soon as Mechanomes are being released, at least I have access to them. I will probably roll them just because I'm such a completionist. I need to have everything. Even though I don't always enjoy certain races, I still want them. For instance, the Colterans. I'm not really a big fan of the Magar orcs, but I will still roll one and get one up to max level because I want that gear. And just to say, yeah, done this. This is now all complete. And talking about being complete, I also thought to myself, okay, well, except for gearing the rogue, what else do you want to do? And it's really just getting certain mounts. So I've decided to go for the 2 mounts in Legion that I didn't get, which were the Rat Stallion mount and the Lothian Prowler. I think it's Lorien or Lothian Prowler. So the Prowler, the Fox, you get that from doing the emissary quests in Suramar. When you know, and you need to finish 4 quests, get the crate, and then hopefully there's a Torn Invitation in there. So I did that today. Nothing. I thought, oh, fucking great. So you can also do the Withered training, which I hated. So first I needed to get some mana, not mana pearls, but something like that. You need to get the little droplets and things like that. So I had enough and gave it to Philistra. Started the Wither training, and wow, that's easy when you're on the 20 and you're geared quite well. So I was doing that and just going into rooms I've never been in before, and I still had some big treasure chests to transport up to the top, and I didn't really think I would get there. But I finished the entire Wither training. So I had 2 big chests to open. First chest was the small one, nothing really interesting. And then the second one actually had the Torn Invitation. So I don't know if that's because I basically got everything out of the dungeon that was there. And I had like shit tons of Withered as well. And I killed everything. I don't know if that's it, or if the game just felt sorry for me that I've done it so many times in the past and never got anything. So I did the invitation, read the quest, and started it. Now I need to send out my party, or my emissaries, I think they're. Oh, I don't know. You know, your little minions. You send those out in Legion. And they are doing stuff now for me, and I heard that it takes about 3 days because you have to do many more of these emissary shit things. And yeah, now it's just a matter of waiting. But I'm really happy that at least the Fox mount is out of the way. I've never have to do Withered training again. Thank fuck for that. So now I'm in the underbelly on my rogue as a 120. Gathering chests for Sightless Eyes and ganking lobies, because that's how horrible of a person I am to get these Sightless Eyes. And I am on 3,000, so I have 17,000 to go before I have enough to get the rat mount in the post. So yeah. It's like I said, it's one of those 2 mounts that I always wanted because I thought they were really unique, and now is the best time really to do it. And especially the underbelly, I noticed that there's almost no one there in the mornings during the week, so I just tend to do that. And yeah, and I guess after that I'll just park my ass up in Icecrown Citadel and try and get Invincible. I guess I have no choice but to go for that one next. So I'm just going to park some of my alts around. I'm not doing a whole parkour like some people do. I know that some people love doing that. I fucking hate that, flying everywhere. I'd rather just put my alt somewhere and just go, okay, well, every week we'll try. And that's really it. Yeah, so that's really what I've been doing. and I'm really enjoying my time in World of Warcraft. Though with Christmas and the Steam sales, I have to admit I picked up a few games, so who knows, I might finally be also playing something else in between, not just World of Warcraft. But someone else who likes to play World of Warcraft is the lovely Marty. Now, Marty, you've probably heard already on the show before. I think we have a running joke that he's going to be on the show for like 50 times as a guest. So we're slowly chipping away at that number. But I will leave you with the interview with Marty, and then I'll come back to all the Twitter shenanigans. So I'll see you on the flip side. And with me today, I'm being joined by a very, very familiar voice. I think we're going to do like 22 shows together. I think that was the plan, but I don't know how far we are now. Episode 6? Is it 6 or 5? Something like that. Welcome back, Marty.
Hey, welcome back. I don't know what number we up to and how many that I signed up for, but yeah, we still have a few to go, I think.
I think so, but I'm not thinking about quitting anytime soon, so no. I think we have time. So, Marty, for the people who have not ever heard you in any of the previous episodes, can you tell a little bit about yourself and what you do on the internet?
Yes. Hello, I am Martin. I am probably best known from the Blue Recluse podcast. If you haven't checked it out, you should. It's really good. We are not really doing anything at the moment, but we have been for almost 5 years before we took a hiatus. So stay away from the first 50 episodes, because that's before we got good microphones. But everything after that should be good, I think.
Like with anything, podcasts is such a learning curve, isn't it?
It sure is, yeah. So yeah, that's probably where people know me from. I also have a small thing. I don't update it too often these days, but I do tend to try and sneak a thing in here and there, and that's sleeplessin.cph.com, Sleepless in Copenhagen. I try to write some blogs here and there, and yeah, also sometimes podcast. It's been a while, but I might do it again sometimes. Who knows?
Yeah, with podcasting, I always feel like it needs to be very fluid anyway. Because sometimes you just have periods that there is just nothing you want to talk about or you can talk about. And I think if you're at that stage that you have to, the quality just suffers. Yeah,
I have to agree, because I think that's kind of like where we got to a point where we're like, we're not really feeling it right now with the Blue Recluse. Like this year, I guess it was in February or March or something like that, where we're like, we're not really feeling it. It feels more like we just have to be here. And that was not the idea with the podcast. The idea was to have fun and talk about these things that we love to talk about. So we decided to go on a hiatus. But that being said, though, it's been almost a year, and both Tom and Michael and I, Tom and Michael being the other co-host, we are talking, and we're meeting up like roughly once a week. I mean, it's around Christmas time now, so we're not that punctual at the moment, but we're roughly meeting up once a week and talking about stuff, playing games together, and we have some ideas for something that might come to something that will be on the internet at some point. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do and what it is, and it might be a little bit different from what we have been used to be doing. I will say though that it's not the Blue Recluse. The Blue Recluse is we finished it. We feel like that was it. So this is like the Blue Recluse 2.0, whatever that might be, that we're trying to figure out.
Ah, well, I don't really want to dig, but but I remember from a while ago we were talking about was it the Azerovian radio show that Coltrane did?
Yeah, big fan of episode 1.
And I remember that you said, "Oh, I wish I had done something like that."
Yeah.
Now, if you guys are going to go for something like that, I'm totally like downloading that immediately.
The thing is that they're doing that, so I don't feel. I mean, sure, they have only made 1.5 episodes so far.
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
I mean, it's not like they don't have like a big track record. So technically, somebody could just jump in there and take the spot. But you know what? Coltrane is the guy who actually got me into to podcasting. Not that I know him personally, and he told me to do it, but I listened to the podcast he was on, and at some point they actually talked about the podcasting, and Coltrane said, hey, if you want to podcast, if you feel like you want to podcast, you should do it, jump into it, try it out, see what it's all about. So he is one of the main reasons why I am podcasting. So I do feel like I don't want to steal their thunder. They're doing a great work with it, and they're doing it way better than we would ever be able to do. But I wouldn't rule out that we might be a little bit inspired by some of what they're doing.
That's cool. I like that. And I think sometimes it's good, if that gives you a little bit of like podcasting boost again just by switching it up. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when it will be out either, and because to be honest, we have a lot of ideas floating, and so even though you could ask me tons of questions and I can't really answer them, but just not because I don't want to, but because I simply don't know. so yeah.
Well, see, once that podcast is out, then I need to get you back on, and we'll talk about about the new things.
Absolutely.
Right, so let's jump into World of Warcraft then, because I sometimes see you, I think I sometimes see you log in. I always see that you are online, because I do have you on my friends list. So nowadays, what faction do you play?
I am bi-factional. I play both sides. Don't tell the Alliance people though. They get so annoyed about it. No, I'm still mainly Alliance because that's what I've been playing for all those years. But I just felt like especially with Battle for Azeroth, that seeing both sides of the story was quite important to me. So I actually did have a high level priest over there, and priest is my main as well, so I have a main on both sides that are both priests. So I am playing both, but if I have to be completely honest, I'm playing my Alliance characters a little bit more because that's what I've been raiding as for the past many years and playing as, and that's where I have all my alts and all the professions and stuff like that. So yeah, but a little bit of both, but mainly Alliance.
Okay. So, how did it start for you? What got you into World of Warcraft, and how did it really hook you?
Well, it's the good old story that I've been playing Warcraft since Warcraft 1. So I mean, back then I didn't really care too much about the story. I don't know. I don't know if it didn't interest me or what it was, but it wasn't until later that I actually got into the story and stuff like that. But I've always been playing the Warcraft games, and then a roommate of mine back in the days got World of Warcraft and played it, and I was like, oh, what is that? That looks interesting. Can I try? And what are those undead people? And what happened to this tower over here? I had so many questions that I needed to find out, and I put the game on my wish list because I had a birthday in March. I think it was out in February in the EU.
I believe so.
Something like January, February, something like that. We were a few months behind. Anyway, I had birthday in March. My parents bought it to me, and I think in the beginning they felt it had been a bad idea to give me this game because I sank so many hours into it. But I think that they later on were like, oh, that was actually pretty cool that we gave it to them, because I got a lot of international friends that I've been traveling around and visiting, and now also doing podcast, and got to know you and a lot of other people and things like that. So I think they in the end came around and thought, oh, okay, maybe it was a good gift after all.
Okay, cool. Now you said that you were in the other Warcraft games. I'm just diving slightly off the path like I tend to do.
It's fine. It's your podcast. You can do
well,
what you
yeah.
want.
Everyone knows that it's chaos anyway, so I never stick to my script. Are you... I presume that you've also played Warcraft 3 then.
Yes, I think I know where you're headed.
Yeah. Have you pre-purchased Warcraft
I
Reforged? Have you? How did you feel about the news today that it was going to be delayed?
I mean, personally, I don't really mind too much because this time of the year I'm always busy and doing stuff, and so I probably wouldn't have too much time to look into it anyway. But I think one of my first thoughts was also, hey, weren't a disclaimer that said before December 31st, and how will people react to this? I'm waiting for the shitstorm to happen, because the internet love this kind of stuff. But I mean, it's Blizzard, and they're like, we want to polish and get it up to top quality that we expect. So I'm not too fussed about it. Obviously, I would have loved to see it earlier because, I want to get my hands on it. And some of all those character models and stuff that we've seen from it, it looks so good. And I don't really... I mean, I get the gist of the story, but I don't really remember it in details. I would love to go back and play Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne again just to, get up to date with everything that happened back then. And so yeah, obviously, I would love to have my filthy hands on it right now, but if I get an amazingly good remastered version of Warcraft 3 in January, then I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I found it really interesting because we're only talking about a month delay here, really. I was in the same boat because I was thinking, I'm sure they said it was going to be released before the end of the year. Why have we not heard anything? And then, of course, we got the news today that it was delayed until, I think it's the 29th of January or something like that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I felt a little bit like, oh, well, that sucks, because now I can't play that. And then I thought, actually, this is okay, because now I can dive into AV still, without being interrupted. But it's interesting to see that. I like it when a company actually goes, now we need to, the quality is really important to us. And then I was really surprised with the whole, we're happy to refund it if you're not happy with that. And in a way, I think that's great customer service. But another part of me is like, which person out there will say, no, fuck this, I want my money back now for a month's sake?
Well, I'm pretty sure I can mention a few well-known YouTubers who is going to be delighted about this news and make a few videos about how awful Activision Blizzard has become. There are people, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I think some people just live for the drama, and well, it's something to look forward to again. So at least we have another month of anticipation. But I was just wondering what your views were on that. Okay.
Yeah. No, you know what? When it in cases like these, I'm like, I'd rather have a polished game instead of something that is has sparks and is not fully like done, basically. I feel like, especially this year, 2019, we had quite a few examples of games that were clearly not done that got released, and all the backlash and all the bad news stories that came out of that. So I'm all for it, and I have to. I mean, that's some of the. We've talked so much about lately how Blizzard doesn't feel like Blizzard anymore. If this is not a Blizzard move, then I don't know what a Blizzard move is, because this is what they always been doing. They've been like, oh yeah, okay, we are not quite done. We'll have to postpone the launch a little bit. I mean, they've even canceled almost finished games because they weren't up to Blizzard standards. So to be honest, I'm actually feel like it's the Blizzard that I know, and I'm quite happy about it.
Yeah, that's you make a very good point there. Now let's stick a little bit with the past, because this is also a little bit from my own conscience, because I was very adamant that when Warcraft Classic was released, I would be sticking around forever, and that would be it. Now, of course, for me, I am a graphics whore, and I love updated graphics. So every time I do gravitate back to BFA, and I love what I can do in there, and it feels less grindy, even though you're on the Azerite gear and all those and the essences. But I remember that you and we were quite the two from the group of people that we knew were going to jump back in Classic. You and I were really like, yeah, Classic. Really, I'm enjoying it. I can see myself doing this a lot. Where do you stand at this point with Classic?
Oh, I haven't touched it for months. I don't even know why I didn't. It's not about like I didn't enjoy it. I did actually quite enjoy my time in there, but I think one of the things that I had forgotten was how goddamn grindy and horrible the drop rates were, and I think that put me a little bit off. And obviously, I think it was also around the time when my girlfriend and I went traveling, so that's probably also why I got out of the loop, and then when I came back, I didn't feel like jumping back in, so I'm not really too much into it. I think it's definitely something that at some point I will probably jump into it again, but it's just not at the moment. I mean, I enjoyed Classic back in the days, but I think if I had to choose between the two of them today, I would choose retail. It's just... Yeah, the world has progressed and the story has progressed. Everything is in a different place. And I mean, whoa, coming out of BlizzCon, we had some juicy, interesting discoveries that we found out what would happen in the next chapter of World of Warcraft. So I mean, if you're not into that, I love it. So
yeah, and that's the difficulty, isn't it? Because like Classic is its own game completely, and it just... It's very difficult to spend your time equally, I think, when there are certain aspects that you just love more in the current game than you do in Classic. Okay, so let's talk about current stuff then. Shadowlands, actually that's more future stuff instead of current. Shadowlands, when that was announced, and I know, you know, from Tom and Amanda that you guys always come together and watch BlizzCon. How did you feel when they announced it, even though it wasn't so much of a secret anymore, because, you know, nothing stays secret on the internet for long. But how did you feel when they actually said, yes, it is Shadowlands, and they started revealing things? What feeling did you get from it?
Well, the thing is that I know that a lot of leaks and a lot of stuff was going on beforehand, but the good thing about not having a Blizzard podcast is that you're actually not up to date and you're not searching for those kind of news anymore. So I was sort of out of the loop. I had seen the picture of the Lich King, but I think that was about it. And I was like, yeah, that's probably from the cinematic, whatever. So I didn't really know too much, and I think most of the leaks were wrong anyway, from what I understand from Talias and Inevital, because that's some of the few videos that I actually do watch from time to time. Yeah. So basically, what I saw was, you know, the opening ceremony. We got this awesome cinematic, and basically I was sitting like this with my arms over my head and just were like, yes. Yes, this is amazing. Oh my god. And she's putting on the helmet. No, she's not putting on the helmet. Even better. Yes. I was so thrilled. It was amazing.
It looks like it's going to be a very, very interesting story that we're going to get.
Oh, yes. And you know, the interesting thing is, because obviously now people are like, oh, but you could see all these different things in the different expansions that are leading up to this, because now people, you know, can connect the dots. And it's so interesting to see that you know, Blizzard is working like 2-3 expansions ahead. Then they know what will happen in 6-7 years time at that BlizzCon when they reveal expansion number 3 from now. And it's so interesting to just see all those small hints or big hints or whatever to what's happening, that this is not something that just pulling out of a hat. They're like, oh, we need a new world, here's Shadowlands, boom. No, they've actually thought about it for quite a while, and I think that's quite amazing and fun to see these days.
What was the one thing that you were most hyped about with all the new things that they announced? What was the one thing that you were like, well, and if you can't pick one, you can pick several, but what was some of the things that you were like, this, I can't wait for Shadowlands to drop so I can do this or I can see this?
AP grind gone, yay!
Everyone rejoice.
Yes. No, I don't know. I mean, for me, obviously all the systems and stuff, it looks good, but again, it's something, it's difficult to actually... One thing is what they're showing now, and another thing is what's actually the end product and how things will will shape and stuff like that. So it's really difficult for me to gauge. I always find like, because I mean, even the Warfronts, they looked amazing when we saw them at BlizzCon, and then we actually got into them, and we were like, yeah, this is actually a little bit meh, right? And the islands as well, Island Expeditions looks amazing, and then when we actually got into them, a little bit meh, right? So stuff like that. I mean, it looks cool. I'm looking forward to it, but I think for me, it's always and will probably always be the story, because I really love the Warcraft storyline, and I've read all the books. I'm a big lore nerd, so it's stuff like that really interests me. So us getting to have a peek behind the veil, so to speak, that's interesting, and it seems like I really feel like they've done a good job with storytelling. Over the past few expansions. Can they be better? Sure, but I feel overall the quality of the storytelling and how they've told stories have improved immensely. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, to the story. I think that's the big thing for me.
Yeah, and especially with certain things, you know, you have the tying of certain storylines that people thought we would forget about. Actually coming back, you know. First we had it in with Battle for Azeroth, that Talia was in there, going back to the Lich King, and now the Lich King coming back. Those are like interesting things that we thought, well, what happened here and what happened to Rathian, and everything seems to be falling into place again now.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I hope we'll see as well, and that will be interesting, is also the Lich King Bolval's daughter, because she got introduced in Battle for Azeroth, right? And I'm pretty sure that they will probably meet up, and she will find out the truth about some things that she don't know about, because she don't know who the Lich King is right now, and she might find out soon. Who knows? And yeah, we'll probably be there for it when it happens. So stuff like that. A lot of interesting things that could potentially happen in going forward.
How do you feel about the fact that we're getting a tower now that you can solo, or you can go in with a group and it changes constantly, as an alternative for the dungeons? Again,
it sounds cool. I'm looking forward to try it out. I hope it's not meh. Because, you know, it's difficult to gauge. It looked really cool at BlizzCon, but, you know, everything looks cool at BlizzCon, and you're hyped, and you know, you're kind of in a different mindset, I guess. You're sort of like, everything is cool, I want to try it all. But when you've done it for number 1,000 in in a few months, then I don't know how fun it is anymore. So you know, I don't know. It's difficult for me to gauge. I'm looking forward to it. I want to try it, obviously. So and the idea behind it, I think it's cool. So it has potential. But I mean, we'll have to see. I think challenge modes had potential as well. And I think the first expansion they were around, they were quite good fun. We did most of them. But the second expansion, I felt like, I wasn't really into it. And then they changed it to Mythic Plus, which is, you know, now an esport. So, and really good fun. I really liked that system. So they turned it into something that is really good fun and really cool right now, but it did take 4 expansions. So, you know, maybe the tower, as we will see it now, will work, but maybe it's, you know, not until the next iteration of it that it actually will be a big thing or whatever. It's really difficult to say right now.
Okay. Now, another big thing that they announced with this expansion was, of course, the Covenants. And, you know, instead of not just picking your own faction with Horde or Alliance, you now also pick which Covenant you'll be joining. When you saw the ones that were announced, did you have like a plan? Okay, I'm taking my Alliance priest through here, and my Horde priest is going here. Do you have a clear idea of where you want to go?
I mean, who doesn't like vampires?
Honestly, they seem so popular. Everyone just says, yeah, I'm going with the vampires.
The thing is that I'm not really in a... I used to be the Mythic raiding guild. They did say that they were only, you know, semi-hardcore, but, you know, they really did, you know, min-max like crazy and stuff like that. And that's not I mean, sure, I am a min-maxer myself. I think it's just how I work. But I'm also just like, I also want to have that feeling that like, this just is cool. It looks cool. It's not min-maxing at all, but I want this, so therefore I will take this. So yeah, I'll definitely go with what do they call it? Venthyr. For my priest, because vampire is awesome. I mean, obviously it can change, because I think you'll have to get to go to level through all 4 zones with all 4 factions to find out more about them. But I think right now, we don't know too much, the Venthyr seems most interesting, and I think my druid, which is probably one of the secondary characters that I will level, I'll most likely go with the Night Fae, I think, because it is a druid, so it should be fairly easy to pick that. The other 2, though, I don't know. I think I might just go with what they sort of is. I think Kyrian will probably be my paladin, and Necrolord will probably be my Death Knight, I think. But besides that, because the thing is that I basically have every class at max level almost. So, but I haven't really made a big plan for all of them. I have to say that, because I haven't. Because I also feel like that's just how I know myself. What am I in the mood for right now, or I'm in the mood to play? At the moment, I think I played my rogue quite a bit, so so that's what I'm playing right now. But I don't know what I would choose for my rogue right now. Probably vampires again, because vampires, they're cool.
And that's a very fair point. But I do find it interesting how a lot of people, maybe unwillingly, for me, it seems at least almost take an RP-ish way of picking for their classes. Because you can see that people go, well, yeah, it's a paladin, so I'm going with, where all the Valkyrs are. And, well, yeah, this is like a Death Knight or a rogue, so I'll go with the Necros. Or... It's very interesting, because I heard almost all people say who play Druid, yeah, I'm going with the Fae, the Night Fae.
Yeah, I think it's also a weird thing that I don't really have that same, except for my Hunter, I guess. I don't really have that character in mind for my characters in game, but. And I don't know if it's just me, or if it's how the game is, because then, on the other hand, I'm playing at the moment, because, I don't know, if you follow the world, there's a Star Wars movie coming out, and that's The Mandalorian, so, I mean, Star Wars, what can I play? Oh, there is a Star Wars MMO, isn't there? And when I played those characters, and I think it's because the storyline is so individual for each class, that I'm like, I actually have a character in mind for these classes, so therefore I play them how I do, and, being Star Wars, they have light side, dark side stuff going on, so for them I sort of have a character in mind, but I don't really with my World of Warcraft characters, except for my Hunter, funny enough. But that's probably also because that on our old guild forum we had an RP section where we started actually writing a story, and my Hunter was part of that story, so I think that's why that has stuck with me, that this is how my character, she's a Hunter, but she's almost druid-like in her thinking, so. So she would probably go with the Night Fae, to be honest.
No, I find that really interesting to hear the stories behind it, even from people who are not completely into RP or don't even really RP, that there's still some form of element that they go well, yeah, I'm trying to pick something that would fit, even if it's just your class or your race. So I find that intriguing. And what you said about Star Wars, I mean, I used to, okay, we're diving off the path a little bit again, but I used to play that a lot, because I picked a class that I thought I was not going to like, and it was the Imperial Agent. And I love that storyline.
It's such a good story. I know. I think I played this. Sorry that we're talking Star Wars right now, but I think when I originally started back in the days when it was completely fresh, I think obviously I went with a Jedi. But I went with a Jedi Sage, because I'm a healer by heart, so I had to pick the healing class. But then then I was away from the game. I got back to World of Warcraft, and a lot of years happened. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, let's jump back into it." I think one of my friends were like, "Oh, I'm playing this game again," and it's actually still pretty good fun. I was like, "All right, sure, let's jump back in." And I made an Imperial soldier as well, and I was like playing through, and the storyline was just so good. I was really thrown back by how good the storyline was for that character. So yeah, I agree with you. It's top notch. It's definitely, if you want to check out Star Wars, check out that storyline. That's really good.
Yeah, I think it's, and I think that one and the which one is it? The Trooper on the good side is I've heard it's not that bad. When you get further on, it gets quite good.
It's because I recently played through it, and I thought it was very military, very yes sir, sort of thing, and all the companions that you get are sort of like the same character as well. And I don't know. I thought it was a little bit boring, to be honest. I tried to.
It just reminded me of Mass Effect. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to. I think I sort of did have like a story in mind. I think the main thing was that I don't really have a dark-sided character at all, because I don't know. I'm a softie, I guess. So I was like, this character, he's a soldier. He might have seen things. He will be going dark side choices. But I felt like all the dark side choices just were mass murder, basically. And I was like, I can't even get myself to do this. So it turned out to be this yes ma'am soldier boy. So maybe that was it as well. That maybe didn't do it for me. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was only one of my companions that I actually sort of liked as well. I thought the other ones were a little bit meh as well. I don't know. It was just not my cup of tea. The Trooper one.
It would be interesting if World of Warcraft could implement something like that with companions and things like that. Yeah, just I know
choices,
that it's
maybe, because that's something that they have tried a little bit now with the end of BFA, with the choices that you make, and it actually has. If you make one choice, then something happens, and if you make another choice, something else happens. It's definitely something I would see them experiment more with.
I think that would be really cool. Just to, we've seen it now with picking Sylvanas or Sourfang. Small things. And I like that. It makes it feel a little bit more like you're doing something unique, at least. Yeah. That's good to hear. Okay.
And they did do it a little bit in Legion as well, right? Where each class basically had their own storyline as well. I mean, the whole main storyline was the same, but they had their own class quest as well. And I would love to see more like that, just to differentiate every class. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be on spec, because I think in Legion it was each spec had their own weapon storyline and stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, but just that each class at least has something that's unique to them story-wise. I would love to see more of that kind of stuff. Because I mean, it works so well in Star Wars, and I mean, just imagine I'm a priest. So obviously Salatath could be something very close to, that could be something that could have an impact on our storyline, for instance, just jamming off ideas right here, right now, and things like that. That would be so amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because that's why I got so into my Hunter, because I loved the class hole story for the Hunter. For the Rogue. That was the one I really liked. And the Hunter was not bad either. There were some that were really, really good. And that was the only reason I started playing certain classes, because you hear, oh yeah, it's really good, you really need to do that quest line. And then now it just feels like, well, the only reason why I'm leveling is so I have them all up.
Yeah.
Thank God for Altwork Valley. But that's really it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good old Altwork Valley.
Have you tried any of the old Altwork Valley?
Yeah, I did. I actually leveled the character the last few levels up. What was it? Was it my Hunter, maybe? Or... No, Death Knight. Sorry, it was my Death Knight. I leveled my Death Knight through Altwork Valley, the last few levels. I played Altwork Valley. I actually quite enjoyed it. It's obviously it's not exactly like it was back in the days, but it does give a good idea. It's not just rush to the end and just get it over with. If you're against Russians, there's no way you can just rush to the end.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of our bane over here is the Russians.
Yes, that's true. For any European players, you immediately, the first minutes when you go into Alterac Valley, the first thing you will hear if you play against Russians, oh my god, this is going to be a long game.
And if there are any Russian listeners, we love you anyway, don't worry.
I don't know how you managed to prolong the game like that, but you are, like, we are shaking in our boots as soon as we see that it's Russian names.
To be honest, if it's me playing, then I'm just like, yes, I want a long match, because I want to do all these quests, I want to go to the mine and capture it and get all my badges, stuff like that, so I love Russian games, come on.
In all fairness, you are actually right, because it's the only time that people in your own team won't scream at you for doing the quest.
Yeah, there we go. And actually, I just realized that, I think, what is it, my great-grandma is Russian, so it's my people, it's my fault. I'll take part of the credit.
You take, okay. So yeah, there's something to say for it, but I think AV is fun. It's I think it's a great way of leveling now. It can be a bit boring, but I just always go, if you want to play proper AV, then don't sign up for Korak, because it's not like the AV that you want. It's completely different.
The thing is that I think one of the things that, well, I don't know how the new leveling system will be. I don't know if we're going to talk about that. But at least right now, I'm actually really enjoying that there are different events popping up that are really good for leveling. Because, like a freak like me that likes to level all my classes, it's just amazing to be able to, this character I'll do this with. I'm not going to do this quest for the 6th time or whatever. To actually jump in and do something else. And we know there will be like an event, pre-event for the next expansion, and earlier pre-events had a tendency to be good for leveling up. So hopefully they'll do that again, because I really like that there's like, at least towards the end, there's way different ways to level up, so you don't have to do the same things. I mean, usually the first time I level through, it's only by quest, because I want to get the story. I finish all my zones. I even read all quest texts. I know, I'm a freak. So yeah, I just really enjoy that on the first character, but and maybe the second character as well. Obviously, I don't read the quest at this point because I just want to get through it. But then the third time I might actually look a little bit more to PvP. Fourth time, something else, whatever there is of options. I really like that. There's so many ways to do it that you don't have to do the same quests over and over and over again.
Yeah, no, you're right with that. I love it that you can change it, because that's we can actually talk about that, because they've announced with Shadowlands that questing will be, or at least leveling up will be, completely different in the sense that it goes a lot quicker. I think they said something that it goes 2 to 3 times quicker than it is now. Which I think is a good thing, because 120 levels, even though you squash them, there's still 120 levels.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Especially for those of us who want like heritage gear and don't want to fork out for a boost. It's a lot of time that you have to sink in, despite everything. So having these events, that's great. But if you are not in time for the events, they've now said that the leveling experience will also change, in the sense of you can scale, you can start wherever you want, it doesn't matter where you start. You have an introductionary area for everyone, which is very much the same. And yeah, it's just going to be a different way of leveling, because my biggest frustration was always, okay, well, yeah, I need to go to Pandaland now, 2 levels. Right, I need to leave Pandaland now. And you only see like 1 zone, and that's it. Because some of it went really quick while you're doing dungeons and everything, and then, you fall halfway into stories, and it just falls a bit flat.
Yeah, I think that they said that, you have, as you said, the introduction is like the first 10 levels, I think, something like that. It ends with a small mini dungeon, just to teach you all the basics, I guess. and then from 10 to 50 will be, if it's the first time, if you're a fresh player, it will be Battle for Azeroth. So Battle for Azeroth, the 4 zones will take you from 10 to 50 pretty much. And then you can go into the new expansion, obviously. But then on secondary characters, you can talk to Chromie, everyone's favorite time traveler, to take and then pick whatever expansion you want to as your leveling experience. So, for instance, I'm pretty sure the first one I would pick would probably Wrath of the Lich King. Love that expansion, but I actually still have quests in what's it called, the northern part, that I actually haven't done. I still don't have that achievement.
Oh yeah.
Ice Crown, that's the place. I still have quests in Ice Crown I never have done. I found out actually because of the Blue Recluse, and we started talking about old days at some point, that there's actually a quite important quest line where there's some cutscenes and stuff with Illidan and Arthas fighting each other that I actually didn't know existed because I never played through that last bit. So I'm pretty sure that that's where I would go first with one of my allied races that I have given up leveling right now because I know the system is coming, so I feel it a little bit pointless. So that's my plan. Go back into Wrath of Lich King and finally get that last bit done.
That's a good plan. Do you think will you choose your zones or areas or expansions based on class and race, or just whatever you fancy at that point in time?
That's a very good question. I don't know if I have an answer for that because it could be based on class and race potentially. I don't know, but I definitely also think it might be, I probably wouldn't do the Burning Crusade too often, I would say. Just picking a random expansion there.
Like Cataclysm and...
Cataclysm is probably one of the ones I won't choose either. Actually, I think one that I would pick would be everyone's favorite expansion to hate. And I can't think of the name right now. Warlords.
Is it Warlords?
Warlords of Draenor. Because actually, I know there's a lot of hate going around for that expansion. I mean, and I think it's justified. But one of the things that was actually quite good was the leveling experience. The leveling experience in Warlords was so good, and you actually nowadays it's the same issue as I said. You're done leveling when you're done with the first zone, pretty much. So you don't get that whole storyline in total. So I mean, going back and play that through again, I think that would be pretty good fun because it was a decent leveling experience. I think it was also around the time when Blizzard started to actually getting a good grasp of the whole storytelling through leveling. Yeah,
no, I agree. Okay, so let's go about the last things that were revealed with the last cinematics that we've had. How do you feel about the factions, and now that there is a sort of quote-unquote peace, and we know that peace will never last long in a world of Warcraft. But how do you feel about where the factions are at this point in time?
To be honest, I feel like they didn't do enough. I feel like, because I know everyone speculated because of one small leak, one small graphical leak, and that was that on your login screen, your character screen, where you have all your characters, they now have an icon if they're Alliance or Horde. So there was a lot of speculations that, does that mean that we can, for instance, make undead Alliance characters now? And I sort of really loved that idea because there's so many things in the story as well that were actually hinting at it. We know that there is an undead faction that potentially could switch to the Alliance side fairly easily, provided there was a leader. Hint, that would step forward. Right, Kalia? So, I mean, there were a lot of hints in different factions where you could be like, yeah, I could see this happen. I could totally see that there will be an Alliance side, undead faction, and I hoped that this was it, that this graphic leak actually hinted at that was the road that they were taking. Because, to be honest, I really liked that idea that I mean, obviously there still needs to be a war, there still needs to be factions, but that you could actually, pick and choose a little bit more. I think it could be cool. I think it's something that could potentially work, but now that it didn't happen, I have a feeling that it will probably be allied races instead. So we'll probably get, at least that undead allied race faction that will be alliance-sided at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still weird though to have the icons there, because I'm like, well, I think most people would know which faction they are playing with that race, but...
Yeah, but to be honest, there's some of them, like Void Elves can be a little bit difficult to see apart from, a Blood Elf, because it's the exact same model almost, with a few tweaks, and then that's it. So there is definitely some classes, but yeah, it was something that was just like... Do we actually need this? This is not really something I feel like is needed. But yeah, I'm also very interested in seeing how long will this piece actually last, because it feels like, they even say it straight out that it's the wheel. It keeps happening, and now, yeah, sure, they're talking about let's break the wheel. Or is that from Game of Thrones? They say something about the cycle. I think it's cycle they use, but basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's break the cycle. And I don't know. I haven't really seen too much evidence of that now. There might be a piece right now, but let's see in the next expansion what happens before I believe it.
Yeah, you're not one of those people who is very pro faction war or very against faction war. Do you fall somewhere in the middle?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, because if they can do it right, I feel like BFA was done right. Then it's fine. But I also don't like it that there should be a faction war just for the sake of there being a faction war, because it's not just again, it's not just black and white. There's a lot of gray area as well, and there's even like some races that are very much moving without that gray area. I always felt like it was a little bit weird that the Taurens were, a horde-sided race, because when we look back at the history of the whole world, the Taurens have always sided together with the Night Elves when they needed help back at the Sundering and stuff like that, and there's some areas where it didn't always feel right. So I don't know. If there's a good story that can be told within it, I'm all for it. But I don't just want it to be there because it has to be there. I would love that, that we as a character, we as the races and Azeroth can also maybe evolve in some direction. And I don't know what that would be, but yeah, evolve somewhere. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really pro-conning on any side of it. If it makes sense for the story, then go for it. But
yeah,
personally, I would like peace in the world that we live in, and if that would be the same in World of Warcraft, then fine, I guess. But yeah, I think. But I also think that one of the issues is then how does Battlegrounds then work? I mean, there's a lot of things that needs to be worked out, I guess. But I guess that's always how it's always been. There's always been factions within the faction that's done bad stuff,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It was a long non-answer, wasn't it?
Well, it's not an easy thing, isn't it? Unless you're very pro alliance or you're very pro horde, you will want to find reasons why to hate the other faction. And
yeah.
I think from a lot of people that I've talked to personally, there's nothing really that warrants that for a lot of people. I feel like it's not as strong as it was at the beginning, probably, of World of Warcraft.
No. Yeah, no,
but that's also with the story evolving.
Yeah, because I think we've gotten to know a lot of the characters on both sides, and that's both good and bad characters on both sides. I mean, sure, at the moment, I think it does feel like that the scale is tipping a little bit against the Horde sides in favor, because they have a lot of bad eggs over there. Not saying that we don't have on the Alliance side, but it's not something that's been a focal point in the storytelling, at least. So, no. I mean, it would be nice to have a few of a little bit more baddies, and I think we might see Tyrande and those people in the next expansion, maybe move a little bit outside of our comfort zone of what's actually, right to do. I don't know, but it's a feeling that I have. And I also think she's an interesting character to do it with, because I think she's a beloved character, right? I think it's sort of like, to me, she's one of those oldies on the height with Jaina, because I think even you and I have talked about on your podcast for many times that, what is up with Jaina? We don't want her to go bad, because it did seriously feel like it before BFA that's where she was headed, and then luckily, our bae Jaina didn't go bad.
No, luckily. Instead we had Sylvanas just going the other way. Even though for her, I just feel like, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because, from how she's portrayed, yeah, you could say she's evil. But on the other hand, is she though? Because this is something she truly believes in.
But the thing is, people have been like, so, especially since the tree burning, people are like, no, this is so out of character. This is not my Sylvanas. This is not my president. But then the interesting part is, if you go in and play Classic right now, if you're subscribed to World of Warcraft, go in and play Classic, start an Undead, and see what the hell is going on in that forest up north that, right now, in current days, not there anymore, it's obliterated. But go back to Classic, see what Sylvanas is up to, and tell me that's not in character.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think you'll see some interesting ways of a character in Classic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
that's
no,
something
Sorry, come.
No, that's something that I think for a lot of people who jumped in later, very interesting to revisit now, and everyone has that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point, because if you are a post Cataclysm player, then you probably never seen the old stuff and what actually happened. I mean, there was a little bit. Was it in Cataclysm where Sylvanas did do some stuff where Garrosh actually stopped her thing, but still, I don't think you saw the full brunt of her, and I'm really looking forward to the next expansion to see what the hell is up with her character and what her plans are and what's going on. And I'm happy to see, because a lot of people were worried that she would be a Garrosh 2.0, and I don't feel she is, at least right now. I don't. The one thing that I don't hope that she will be a raid boss that we'll get to kill someday. Unless, I don't know, maybe if the story is right, it would make sense. But I sort of hope, because she's one of those characters that's been there forever and is very beloved. So I hope that they have something else in store for her.
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. Okay, talking about all the people in World of Warcraft, what has the Warcraft community meant to you personally?
Oh man, it's recently... Actually, in the group, as you said, we are in Dragon Powered Studio. There was a newsletter where people said, who are you grateful for? And funny enough, I think majority of the people that I had to mention that I was grateful for are all people that I met through the community, either by playing the game or by doing the podcasting. So, I mean, I think the community overall means a lot to me, because we're sort of like one big family. I mean, sure, there is those, annoying uncles who are min-maxers who, sit over there and are like, why are you not doing it like this, like we used to do in the old days and stuff like that. But, it's a one big family on good and evil. So, so no, I really, it's a good place to be, I feel like, because you can talk. Even if you're just out and about and you meet someone else who has been playing World of Warcraft or still plays World of Warcraft, you just have a conversation starter. So yeah, no, the community means a great deal to me.
That's good. And like you said, the DPS is it's such a warm family as well.
Yeah, DPS, Dragon Powered Studio, for those who are not don't know. It's not damage per second. In this case, it's not min-maxing. It's a group of podcasting friends.
Yeah, and you know, and if people want to join, they can always do that because our Discord is open to any listeners, and you know, we talk about a lot of stuff there.
Oh yes, and there's free games.
Yes, also a lot of free games. All right, other free stuff. My segments are so bad, my segues. When you're in game, what is your favorite food to have?
Something that's not prepared by Nomi. I'll take anything except something that's prepared by him. I'm still having trauma from Legion and Nomi and trying to get those bloody recipes, and I still think I lack one, and you know, the completionist inside of me is like screaming that I want that recipe, Nomi, come on, I know you have it somewhere, just get it for me. To be honest, I have no good other answer for that. I don't really have any food items that just spring to mind, so that's my non-answer.
That's fine, that's fair enough. Okay, Marty, thank you so much for being an amazing guest. If people want to find you on the internet and everything that you do, where can they find you?
I would say, as I mentioned, sleeplessincph.com is probably the place to go these days for everything that has to do with me. Also, would love if you want to check out dragonpoweredstudios.com. dragonpoweredstudio.com, no S in that. Because, you know, that's people like you and other podcasters, we all make fun podcasts, I think. So that's definitely something to check out over there. So those two places. And I'm pretty sure you can find my Twitter through there as well. That's probably easier. Well, I changed my Twitter now, so now it's actually easy.
Oh.
It's not Unamithel that nobody knows how to spell anyway. It's Sleepless in CPH. See that there's like my website is the same as my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle and probably somewhere else as well. So it's easy. It's easy now to find me.
That that will make it a lot easier for people.
Yeah,
I
finally
I'll make sure it
to,
will all get in the show notes.
Yeah, I finally came to that conclusion that maybe my character name from back in the days when I didn't think about, social media, I realized, now it's time to change that. Make it easy.
Yeah, well, I think everyone likes easy, right?
Yeah, I do. I know I do.
All right, well, Marty, thank you again for being on the show yet again.
Yeah, you are absolutely welcome. I can set one more mark, so I think we only have like 21 episodes to go until my contract runs out. So that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm ticking it off and just going, okay, we're still set for a few more years.
That's good. Let's talk when Warcraft 3 is out and we have played it.
Oh yeah, that's a good plan. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Marty. And like I said, he's going to be on the show many more times if he wants to. So expect to hear more from him. And, I think we're all hoping that the Blue Recluse will come back in the new year, because I do miss that show a lot. Right, let's go to Twitter, and you can follow the conversation on Twitter as well. Just go to Twitter and then follow the account at whispers_of_war. Now, I asked you guys what you are up to this week, especially with the holidays approaching, and you had a lot to say, and I'm going to butcher your names again. Tyriastraza said, gearing my new Fire Mage alt, getting Esseted, and the neck. Okay, that's a good plan. I mean, it has a lot of work. Professor Talib said, I'm going to be working on the Merrymaker title in Winterville. I hope to make real progress this year. Well, Winterville is out, so, I think that a lot of people are working on that. I saw some people in the guild also working on that one because they want the Proto-Drake. Chad said, I've got to decide which alt level in AV, also finish rep on my main for Flight and Alliance races. And it says Flight and Alliance races. I think the rep, is that to get flying unlocked in BFA? Because I know it's not a lot of fun to get that all done. Hashtag lots to do, running out of time. You still have time. You still have time for AV. MT said, working on leveling in AV through January 7th. Currently working on my 4th and 5th 120 in AV. I feel you. I'm not even going to say how many I've leveled in the meantime. It's far too many, and I'm still doing it in between. That's also something I did this week. Still leveling a little bit in AV. Ali said, trying to get my neck to 70 finally. I also want to take advantage of the anniversary buff to get the Rust Bolt to Exalted. So that's indeed a really good thing to do right now. If you still need reputations to unlock stuff, do it now that we have that buff still going on, because it does help. Spanky Hunter said, last 4 tunes to cap, so that's 1 of each class plus 1 Alliance tune. Then they all get parked and ignored till Shadowlands pre-patch, where I decide which to play for that expansion pack. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do exactly the same thing. So that is really what has been happening on Twitter. I've been a bit slack on Twitter. I should post more, but I've been, it's before the Christmas period and it's hectic. Saying that, I hope that you guys have a wonderful Christmas or happy holidays for those that don't celebrate Christmas. I will be releasing a show on Sunday again. I hope I can find a guest before that. So if you listen to this and you feel the calling, please send me a DM over Twitter that you would love to be a guest. My only thing is that I would love you to have a reasonable microphone. That's just it, because I am horrible with editing, as you might have noticed. So if you have a mic that's reasonably alright, a headset preferably, because speakers tend to pick up my voice. I know it's very loud, so that's why. Then it's all groovy, and I would love to have you on as a guest. Other than that, I'm going to wish everyone happy holidays, and we'll talk about the new year and New Year's resolutions. So let's have a looky at where you can find me. Of course, you can find the show on the internet. Go to whispersofwar.podbean.com for all the old shows and all the show notes. Join us on Discord, where you can find me, Marty, Amanda, Tom, Frasley, so many others like Ali and Professor Talib and Toshmifoon, and many, many more amazing people and amazing shows and amazing conversations. Go to dragonpoweredstudio.com/Discord to join. Twitter @whispers_of_war, or my personal one @McMonkeys with a Z, and the email is whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. Twitch.tv/McMonkeys with 2 Zs. I already have a little planning of what to stream this week. It will be this week, but it will not be just World of Warcraft, because let's face it, the Witcher series has launched, and I need to play all the Witcher games. Even though I know that 1 and 2 are horrible with the gameplay, I'm still going to try it, because I want to see more of the story. So yeah, expect some Witcher, expect some Alien Isolation again, I would assume. So if you want a variety of games, then make sure you follow me on there. Guys, again, have a wonderful Christmas or holidays, and I will see you afterwards. I hope you get some good gifts, or at least some wonderful time with your family. And that's it. Bye-bye.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.